While countries around the world continue to mobilize to contain the spread of COVID-19, mental health experts say we can't lose sight of an equally alarming issue: the long-term mental health impact the pandemic is going to leave on society.
What I think we're facing here is a very traumatic event for a lot of people. It's a traumatic societal event for people. And one thing that we know about trauma is that while it's happening, you do whatever you can do to survive. You bear down and you just get through it, which is what we're all trying to do right now. I think that we're still very much in the trauma phase, the active trauma phase of this pandemic.
But what happens after physical distancing measures are lifted? What comes after the pandemic is over and people are able to get back to whatever their normal may be?
There's going to be residual stress, depression, certainly financial pressures, learning how to re-engage with the world in this new way. That's going to be difficult for a lot of people, and those are exactly the kinds of risk factors that lead to increasing rates of depression, anxiety, and even suicide.
The rapid spread of the pandemic gave little chance to prepare for or even process all that has happened in terms of job losses and the complete uprooting of everyday life and relationships. A large body of scientific studies show that there is a close relationship between indicators such as unemployment, mental health, and suicide. Hennick explains there is a peak and a valley response in our nervous system when faced with trauma. Right now, we are at a peak in which we are engaging with the immediate threat of the pandemic. You go into survival mode, which can be very taxing on a person's mental health.
And in fact, it doesn't actually let you think through or process what's happening to you. Its only interest is in keeping you alive and keeping you safe.
Once the pandemic is over, there will be a valley in which we recover from that threat. But the problem is, going back to baseline without support can take a lot longer than we may think. After the threat passes, Hennick says people can start to retreat or fall into depression or find many other ways of dissociating themselves with the trauma they experienced.
It can really become almost an infection on its own. Some people stay stuck either way at the top of that peak, or they stay stuck down at the bottom, or anywhere in between. Not everybody returns to baseline, and that's where we become concerned about mental illness. I think it's important for employers in particular to realize when we start to loosen some of the restrictions that we're currently facing, that this needs to happen slowly, that we can't go back to the way the world was overnight.